All right, so we should be live. Perfect. So, because today is August 1st, and I'm just going to share out the live to, my YouTube coach very shortly. But because today is August 1st, and because a lot of business owners will ask me things like, how do you focus on your goals? How do you stay focused? How do you stay motivated? Things like that. I wanted to show you a process that I learned from someone on how to actually create a goal that matters to you, where you have the likeliest chance of success, and also how to map out the goal to increase your chance of success. So it's not just creating the goal, it's staying committed to that goal. And when we talk about goals, a lot of people will s- start off on the wrong foot, so to speak, because they could choose the wrong goal to begin with. And we'll get into all of this. But let me share this out, and we'll start in about a minute. If you're here, just put that you're here in the comments. I want to know who you are and tell me how your day is. And we'll get to it in a second. Um, all right. Hold on. Also, I learned today how to go live natively in YouTube. So that'll people have been asking like when do I know if you're going live? I'm not getting the notifications. So we're actually going to start going live internally inside of YouTube where it will show like the timer with the waiting and you could actually put the comments in advance. That's number one. Number two, tomorrow we'll be live in the morning. Andrea, what's up, you ma'am? Andrea will be doing like this grounding meditation thing that we're going to create it once for now. And it's something that you could like just rewatch in the morning, maybe when you're taking a shower or getting ready, um, to just like start your day off right. Okay. So I'm going to bring this up. And during the presentation, anytime you have a question, I'm going to try to engage as much as possible. I want to go through the process in real time. And then once we go through the process, like I'll engage, answer your questions. Okay. And hopefully you can see this perfect. So, this is how to create and stay committed to your goal. And the first thing you may notice is that the word used was goal. Okay. Because I think that if you choose the right goal, then there should really just be one priority. And I think the first mistake that people make when we're talking about goals is that they have 10 instead of one. So the first step here is to choose one. And then after that is to choose one that you actually want. And as someone who interacts with a lot of people, who has had many clients, who has clients that I give a lot of my time and energy to, that I pay attention to, I can tell you that the if you do not choose a goal that you are almost willing to give everything for, that you do not truly want, then you don't have an advantage from the get-go. You're at a massive disadvantage. Because if you go into a field where someone really, really wants something and they will give it their all, and even if it doesn't work out, as long as they give it their all, they sacrifice everything, they're happier knowing that they tried than if they didn't, and you're just kind of half in, half out, you'll never be able to beat that person, right? It'll be impossible to withstand the pain, and the work that has to be done associated with the goal. So the first step is to really identify, do I really want this goal that I'm saying that I want? And if you understand what I'm saying, put yes in the chat. So I love it. I teach it to my clients. That's very true. I cannot stay committed to something. Yeah. Okay. So choose a goal that is associated with the activity instead of the result. So I'm going through this exercise, I'm going to use a goal, and uh, we're going to use a goal that says going live on YouTube, right? So if the result of the goal, let's say, was to grow to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube by going live daily, I can't really control that. I mean, to a certain extent, I can. I can show up, I can engage with the community, I could ask you to share it with a friend, but I could give it my all, and there's a chance that I may not get to 100,000 subscribers. Now, even if that's the case, I would still count that as a win, right? Because the person that you become in the process. But the point is that instead of doing this, I could say, go live daily on YouTube for 90 days, right? And so I always choose a goal that I have more control over, because if you don't, then you're kind of setting yourself up for a disaster, and you're allowing yourself to be in a territory where you can give yourself an excuse. Or you see what I'm saying? So if you're not in control of the action, you could say, well, it didn't happen because of this, right? And so you will always want to choose goals, at least what has worked for me and what I've seen worked for others, including others that are far more successful than me that I've had as mentors. They choose goals they are in control of. Okay. So I just, we don't have to do this right now, but during this presentation, but kind of just think of it like, what's one thing that could make a massive difference that could support the result that you want? I'm not saying that this doesn't matter. Trust me. Like, I'm a business owner. I track the data, all of that. I'm going to get to 100,000 subscribers. It's inevitable. It's going to happen because I'm going to do the work that is required, right? So we just want it to be supportive. So step 2, and this is really important, is that people are like, oh, I want to grow to 100,000 subscribers in this case, or I want to do this, but they give it like 10 years, a 10-year window, or they don't even give it a deadline. So assign a deadline to your goal. And I advise 90 days to start with. And it should not be a deadline where we're drinking pina coladas on the beach. It should be a deadline that you should be like, how am I going to do this in 90 days? Or how am I going to start this now? How am I going to keep this up for 90 days? What are the weekends going to look like? Like, you want it to almost stress you out a little bit. Does this make sense? Put yes in the chat if this makes sense. If it doesn't stress you out at least a little bit, then you need to compress the time or make the number on the front end bigger. Okay, so deadline for goal. So for this, let's say I wasn't going live. So actually, let's do it. So deadline for goal, August 2nd, start going live natively in YouTube so people know schedule. Okay. So milestone 1 by, let's say, August 10th, I could say, have a proper schedule for audience, go live for 30 minutes, whatever, for each one. Milestone 2, by August 20th, I will go live on vertical in the morning and go live on horizontal like this, because YouTube has vertical portrait, in the afternoon. By milestone 3, and then you just keep going. And the thing is that you want specific milestones, because if tomorrow you don't see me live going natively on YouTube, then another day will just pass. If maybe by the August 10th, I don't have a schedule, like, I'm missing a lot of opportunity for people to plan in advance that want to actually be there for the daily lives. I'm missing an opportunity for them to even know when I'm live so they could share it with a friend. And I'm just, again, I'm not putting it in my control because I'm depending on YouTube to send you a notification that I'm live. So the milestones have to iterate on being within your control. Does this make sense? Okay. Step 3 is you're going to assess what you have. So I would ask yourself, what do I have that gives me a start or an advantage? Because people have this doom and gloom kind of approach to setting a goal that makes them a little bit stressed because they're stretching. And for me, like it should excite you, because if it doesn't excite you, then maybe you didn't choose the right goal to begin with. But you want to always look at what do you already have so you could do the most with what you've got. So here I could say I have a computer, I have Wi-Fi, I have a ton of context after years of running cohorts, speaking with mentors, coaching one-on-one, building programs. I know exactly who my clients are. I could speak on one question for 30 minutes. I'm not worried about the material. I have a home office. I have a camera. So you want to just go through all the things that you have instead of focusing on what you don't have, because then, it could be a little bit negative. Now, step 4 is prioritizing in advance so that you don't negatively react, or so that you don't go through your goal and what you're doing to build your goal reactively, because that's when things can go AWOL and then it just doesn't get done. So here, I'll identify what are my top priorities that I need to focus on to achieve this goal. Number 1, I need to focus on what I'm going to talk about or what questions I will answer. Schedule. And then, maybe in future, building private community where live viewers can go. This makes sense? And so you want to just understand what the top priorities are. Now, if I had never been live before, then maybe I get an accountability coach to hit the live button. Maybe the second priority would be like learning the live. Does that make sense? Yes. That's a little bit okay. Why? Okay, cool. And whatever questions you have, just, the other thing here is determine what you're committing to never do again. Okay. And this could be never go to sleep without at least going live daily for the next 90 days on YouTube. Okay. I will never fill the hours that I choose to go live with a client, podcast, coffee chat, whatever. I don't care if it's the president or the future president. That's going to be my YouTube lifetime because this is my priority. Does that make sense? So, what will you never do again? I will never, not be able to like put up this boundary around this certain time. This is really important. And I feel like people sometimes feel bad about what they have to start saying no to. But it's you are not a Optimus Tesla bot. And even those are going to have a capacity. There's not, you can't have, let's just say that there's an Optimus Tesla bot right now that was mowing my lawn, another one cleaning, another one doing this. And at some level, they're all going to need service. They're going to reach capacity. And the limit really is time. If I gave it 100 tasks, it may not be able to do it all in 24 hours because it still requires time to do those tasks, right? So you're going to have to start to say no to things and never do things that you're currently doing. And if you're not willing to sacrifice those things, then maybe you're not choosing the right goal in step one. Because the goal that you choose should be something that, again, even if you sacrifice a lot, almost everything, you put everything on the line and you gave it your all, you gave it your best, and it still didn't work out, you would look back and be like, I'm still glad I did it. Okay. So, step five, reduce resistance in advance. This is so important. Resistance leaves room for excuses. So, I'll give you an example. If I were to come on to this live this today and I would say, oh, well, my fancy camera wasn't charged, so I can't go live. What that does is that the fancy camera not being charged because it wasn't appropriately plugged in is a resistance. And every single little resistance point becomes an opportunity for your brain to convince you that, oh, this is out of your control, proceed to the left, right? Like, let's retreat. And so I could tell myself, well, I wasn't meant to go live today because, oh my gosh, like it didn't charge. This is ridiculous. I don't want to go live without a fancy camera, so on and so forth. And you want to reduce that. So in the future, the camera needs to be charged, or I need to buy a better cable so that it could reach where it's positioned. And you almost want to envision this. And this is something that I think that I may have gotten more from, I played sports when I was younger. I was on the swimming team and, like our JROTC, which is like kind of like military boot camp in high school here, but it's not real. It's just, I guess it's for fun. But you kind of want to envision, okay, if you walk into your office and if you want to do XYZ, let's say your phone needs to be charged, all those things need to be taken care of in advance. So, how can I, on an average day, increase the chances of this happening? If everything went right, what would that look like? So, if everything went right for Shanae to go live daily, I would wake up rested. Now, what does that mean? That means that I need to go to sleep at a certain time, right? And to be able to do that, maybe if I tend to stay up longer than I should, maybe I get my team to make sure I'm asleep, right? So I wake up rested. After that, I do my morning like grounding, feel great, go on a walk, just do something quick outside, and then have an amazing coffee, right? So the morning that there's no coffee, it's going to be like everything's going to be done. The day's going to be like a mess. So you just want to make sure that all these things are taken care of in advance. Again, asking how can I decrease the resistance? And then the priorities when you envision this day, ideally, I would be going live in the morning, or ideally, I would be planning the live the first 90 minutes of the day so that I don't have to think about or have any of that resistance when I hit the live button in the afternoon. So you just want to really go through that. Step six, and people don't really talk about this, is really ask yourself, how does someone who does this activity or who achieves this thing view themselves? How do they show up in the world? What do they believe, not just about themselves, but about the world in general? So if I'm someone that goes live daily on YouTube, what do I believe? I believe that I have a lot of helpful information to share. I believe that video is a powerful tool to reach people globally. I believe that I have a duty to do this. I believe that live video is powerful. I believe that live video is more powerful to build community. I believe that, so there's a lot of things that I could start listing. And then you could start to really almost start to think that way and start to show up that way in the world. So just think about that for a second. Like, what's one belief that someone that achieves this thing, and for your goal, whatever that is, what's one belief that they have to have about themselves or about the world? Oh my God, somebody said, I feel it. An Optimus Tesla bot. That's funny. Yeah, I was in JROTC. It was fun. Okay. So step 7 is to shape your environment. You could use visual reminders. You could tell people, you could put alarms on your phone. You could tell people, and again, this goes to a step that's coming up, that if I'm not live by this time, like no matter what, just make sure that I go live. Uh just make sure that you shape your environment. And I think the vision board thing is very important, and I also think exposure is very important. So, like when I look at some other creators and they have like 50,000 people live on YouTube, I kind of just analyze what's happening. I admire like how many years they've built in to like build this community for themselves. I see how they engage with the community. I see how much effort and detail. Some of these people go live for 3 to 4 hours sometimes a day that they put into, just the not even the fancy production of it, but just the actual material of it. I see how they listen to their community. And I'm learning through kind of exposure. And when it comes to shaping your environment, it kind of goes back to what are you willing to say no to? So if right now you watch an hour of Netflix every day and it's not really useful to this goal, then maybe you replace that hour to just purposefully expose yourself to someone who has mastered this skill. Does that make sense? And I kind of put that here. And then we have, developing micro habits. And this allows you, like, the most important thing in this kind of lesson, mini lesson within the big lesson, is to gradually increase the complexity and duration. So now you may see me going live maybe 20, 30 minutes. Maybe eventually it'll be more than an hour. Right now, there's no real form or style, and maybe that'll be developed by listening to you, getting your feedback, which I love. Put it in the chat. Maybe there will be a whole schedule with maybe days that I bring other people on as well. Private communities. So you almost want, maybe it's not just YouTube. I have another camera here, Instagram, TikTok, this, that. But I'm not going to try to do all these things at once. And this is really important, especially with coaches. So people will join our program, LinkedInpreneurs, and they'll be like, yes, Shanae, I have an ebook of this, of that. I have 25 funnels and I want to also do this and that. I'm like, what? Like, we don't need more than one thing here. And it's because they look at someone like a Tony Robbins or someone that's been in the game for 30 years. What they don't understand is that someone like him started with one offer, right? Started with one event, started with one freebie on their website. Now he has whatever, 1,000 employees and a whole organization. And of course, that has scaled along the way. But to do it all at once, you're really robbing yourself of the journey of mastery and getting nothing done in the process a lot of the time. So understand that this is going to be, even after the first 90 days, it's going to be a journey of mastery, which again returns us to number one. If you don't see yourself mastering this skill and putting a lot into it, then probably choose a different goal. So step 9 is making the new habits satisfying. Let me check the chat. Yes, inspiration, love it. All right. So and put what you think in the chat. Like what helps you, because again, everyone's different and I'm going to be sharing different types of systems, processes, ways of thinking, and 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10 may be like, "Oh wow, that's really powerful." And then others may not resonate as much. So share what works for you in the comments so that other viewers can benefit. So step 9 is to make it satisfying. This is very important. And recently, like one of my dogs was being trained. And so they have, like correction training if they go chase a soccer ball in the road or something, or they're just not doing what they're supposed to do in the training. And then a lot of it also is reward. And we beat ourselves up sometimes over what we're not doing based on the activity. But that's a lot of the times because we don't have a system of reward in place that works for us. So implement immediate rewards for completing goal related tasks. And I'll give you a simple one. If you focus, this is just an example. If Sally focuses for the first 90 minutes, and Sally is made believe, for the first 90 minutes of her workday, she can then scroll social media for 10 minutes, right? Or have a little chocolate or whatever. But if that doesn't happen, it really goes back to self-discipline. Then the chocolate almonds or, scrolling social media, checking the email doesn't happen either. Does this make sense? So you want to just make sure that and reward yourself in ways that you thoroughly enjoy. Like I love sushi. So let's say like a week, like I crush it this week. Super productive, like all the activities get done. You best believe I'm going to have a sushi feast that is probably for 10 people, right? So step 10, build a supportive tribe. This is so important. Ask yourself, who am I going to need to spend more time with? Who am I going to need to spend less time with? And then obviously you increase your positive influences. So if I want to go live daily on YouTube, I need to spend more time with people who go live on YouTube, people who have huge YouTube audiences, and also elsewhere, people who go live on YouTube, maybe TikTok, Instagram, it could be Twitch, like live music streamers, because it's not just what you can learn from someone that is doing the same thing that you are doing. It's also like little nuggets that you could learn from someone that may be trying to do the same thing in a different lane, and something that they say or a strategy that they're implementing, you're like, wow, that really makes sense and I could apply it to my lane as well. And then who am I going to need to spend less time with? And not just thinking about it, but preparing in advance. So I'll give you an example. If you have a friend who and this happened to me a lot in the beginning when I was building my business. People would just call me and be like, "Hey, let's go to Starbucks. Let's go here. Let's go there." And half of my day was being spent on errands and going to useless places instead of my business. And so that had to stop. And so what will you say when they call? Right? Because they're going to call and they're going to say, "Hey, let's go to Starbucks. I'm outside." Or, "Hey, you want to go to Starbucks with me?" What will you say? Because if you're caught off guard, you're probably just going to go along like, "Yeah, okay, one more time," or whatever. So you really have to prepare in advance to start setting boundaries with a lot of these people that you need to spend less time with. And how will you communicate that to them? Because if you don't, you may end up, resenting them or trying to flip it where it's like, "Oh, I'm not achieving this result because of this person," when it's really just because you haven't set the boundary or communicated or thought of how that conversation would go, right? So this is just we could do one, honestly, I'll probably go do one live on each of these 10 steps, but I kind of, for the 1st of August, wanted to just walk through this with you. And I hope it helped. Or buy a new crypto coin. Yes, Shunk. I know. Shunkar's funny. Or go to a new place. Like I know Andrea's reward is always like, "Oh, well, when we do this, we're gonna go to this." She already has like 3 places of where we're gonna go. I reward myself by watching something I like. Yeah, that's awesome. That's important. 90 days, one controllable goal. Yes. I think that's so important instead of 25. And so I want to ask you, who's watching in the comments, because I'm doing this. I'm really going to go through this process, going to go live daily. And so should it be pop up, or should it be like same day or same time during the day, like a 4 p.m. or 10 a.m., whatever the time is, but should it be the same time every day, or you know, what if I don't have a YouTube audience? I don't think that matters so much. Um, so one thing, I was talking to someone. She has over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. She built it in a year. This is someone that on my goals, I'm spending more, virtual time with, at least more phone calls. But the thing is the difference between LinkedIn and YouTube. Both are extremely powerful tools, but with LinkedIn, it's not a social platform. It was not designed to be a social media platform. They don't want to be a social media platform. If they wanted to, they would. And by they would already have internal lives and all of that. They are a networking platform. So a lot of what LinkedIn is designed to do is you have to engage. That's why they're very strict on the bots. You have to reach out and connect. And it's about quality connections. It's about building real relationships. It's different. You have to be an active participant after the content, right? On YouTube, the algorithm is so smart that I don't care if you have 0 subscribers, or the only subscriber is yourself. Eventually, the video will be served to the right people because the algorithm is that intelligent. So I wouldn't, I wouldn't worry about that. And again, going back to the result goal, like if you don't have an audience that's more looking at result versus, oh, I'm going to go live for 30 days and see what happens. And even if 0 people view the lives over 30 days, I will have 30 assets that I can now repurpose and put like 1,000 shorts up, and even if 0 people view that, I now have 30 assets that I can repurpose into. I can repurpose the top 3 into ebooks or landing pages or other resources, and that could potentially help build a list. And it would have to be like illogical probability, like impossible probability for you to not benefit out of something just from the data and the feedback, and then taking that data and feedback and building other things. And again, that is if 0 people were to view the videos. Shankar, I think the same time makes most sense to train your audience when to expect you. I don't know if train is the right word. Shankar's like, train the audience like dogs. It's the European in him. That's funny. Yeah, it'll probably be leaning more towards the morning, like probably late morning. I'll try early morning. We'll see. All right. So I hope that a system helps. And if you have something that you want me to cover specifically, then message me on LinkedIn, share it in the comments, because if you say, hey, I'd love for you to answer this question or do a training on this, I'll listen to the community. And I love it. And if you have a friend that will benefit from the channel, just share it with them. God bless you. And just remember that the last 7 months, you can achieve more in the next 5 months than you have in the last 7. But we have to get really dialed in. And if you dial in now, you'll have such a massive advantage when January 1st comes, because remember, most people, whatever they party until January 1st, and then they really don't get serious until February 1st. So if over the next 90 days you really get locked in, you'll have become a better version of yourself, be more focused, and just have that compounding momentum to go into the new year, into Q1. And, you know, it's kind of like, how could, like, you just have a lot of advantage. Something on procrastination. Yeah, that's a good one. I really think it comes down to a lot of, so I think that some people procrastinate, obviously, but I think a lot of procrastination is misidentified. So someone may say, "Oh, I'm a procrastinator. I procrastinate," but they only selectively procrastinate, right? So they don't procrastinate with their hobby and with what they find really fun and enjoyable. And the things that are less enjoyable, that they don't have fun with, that isn't really that interesting to them, all of a sudden procrastinations surfaces. So I think that in most cases, it's just identifying, am I kind of what we talked about yesterday? Am I choosing the right thing? Right? Is this something that I really want? Um, and yeah, I'll do a live on it for sure. Because I'll go down another rabbit hole. But all right, all of you have a beautiful evening, and I hope that you found this valuable. Share it with at least one friend that could benefit, and put in your requests for future trainings, and we will do them. Ciao. Oh, the other thing, Entrea will be doing the live in the morning so that you could replay it. It'll be like grounding and soothing, kind of inspiration for entrepreneurs that you could listen to and play back in the mornings. And I'm going to have some pretty other cool people. We'll have Shankar on more often. Want to talk about things with AI with Shankar. He has great perspective, and when it comes to building relationships, like just a building relationship live with him, he really is on the ground, builds long-term relationships with people. When it comes to that 8, right, which is like, who do I need around me? Who do I need to spend more time with? Who do I need to build a relationship with? Who do I need on the team? Like, he can talk about that all day. So uh yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. We will have a schedule soon so you don't miss it. And God bless you. Ciao.